So they're out there, and there's a bevy of lawsuits all over the country. So I don't know where those are going to end up. The second is we have a Congress that periodically likes to weigh in on what we're doing. And I'm not sure where they're going right now. I'm not sure where the whole government's going right now, to be honest with you, but that's another story. Third thing is, I can only speak for Division I. I know there's several people in Divisions 2 and 3 and junior colleges and the like, but in Division I, we got a really odd group. You have some people with $20 million budgets, you have some with $200 million budgets. To get anything approved in Division I right now is painful. We can't get 50 states to agree on things, let alone 351 universities. So I'm not sure where that's going. We try to create some changes in the governance system. In the 1960s, we got a miscellaneous expense allowance. We call that cost of attendance today. All we've really done is reinstate what was in place in the late 60s. It has nothing to do with pay for play. And at Purdue, as many of the schools did, we gave it to all the athletes. It wasn't just for the quarterbacks or the basketball players. It was for everybody. It was to recognize there are miscellaneous expenses that you need to take care of in college. So we have a system in place in governance that's hard to move it fast. And then the fourth one that worries me perhaps the most is public opinion. We can move things around this globe in a nanosecond, and that's good and it's bad. But if you look at the stories that seem to be populating the media today, it's about sexual assault, it's about drug abuse, it's about aberrant behavior, and that's a fraction, a very small fraction of the young people you deal with. But that's the way the general public begins to view us. So those four factors out there, I don't want to scare you and put you on a downer, because the reality is this group, particularly those who are under 40, are going to help us figure out how to work our way through this. All I have to do is go back to 1906. Teddy Roosevelt called the presidents together at that time from many universities because the sport of football, they were killing each other. And that led to the NCAA and led to really an unprecedented growth over the last 100 plus years. So don't walk away wringing your hands, but recognize that we're at a tipping point. I don't like to see what happened at Buffalo. To me, there were about 1,000 NCAA former and current athletes who competed in Rio. Represented 223 of the 1,000 or so Division I, II, and III schools. All of you in this room, many of you have coached them, either as they were coming up through the ranks or in college, should take great pride in that. And I think the USOC acknowledges, as well as the national governing body, the tremendous job that you all have done. So you can't control that necessarily, but I would be an advocate, and several of the speakers spoke up today. You need to not just let your AD and others know, you need to share it with other people, the experiences and stories about the young people that you've helped nurture. That's what people relate to. They can't relate to it. It's not personal, they don't get it. You know, if you have the opportunity to send a note to a congressman or a state representative, don't be bashful about doing that. Tell your story. You can do it in a humble way, but they need to understand that. And then I would encourage Joel and Mike Unger and others to, continue to make sure that we put our best foot forward with the USOC and others, because everybody's proud of the Olympics, but I can tell you right now, not just in swimming, but in many other sports, we go in the tank without the NCAA and without the colleges. It just doesn't work. Now, the last message, and this is what you can control. And I'm gonna throw out a challenge to Joel and to the coaches here tonight to think about this. We've dealt with time demands in the NCAA, and we made some really modest changes. I mean, we never brought kids back without 8 hours rest. We never gave, a kid didn't get a day off a week from practice. And all of us had time off at the end of the season. I mean, those to me are just doing what you should do if you're going to coach kids properly. The next phase, and I really challenge you because there's no coaching group that I've talked to gets it. I read the Science of Swimming by Jim Councilman. In fact, used to stay with young Jimmy when we were swimming, coming up in the age group ranks. He took kinesiology to a different level with swimming, and many others behind him have taken it to another level. We need to really sit back and get a group of master coaches. You can decide who they are. Some former student athletes who were swimmers, some current student athletes who were swimmers, some sports performance people who are unique to the sport of swimming, and some nutritionists unique to the sport of swimming, and some academic advisors. And you need to sit down and start at the highest level of the sport, where we're looking to compete at the Olympics, and say, what's the right cycle? Start out on an annual basis. What's the right preparation cycle? What's the right competition cycle? What's the right recovery cycle? And then break it down into smaller pieces. It also needs to add some sanity to your life, because your recruiting calendar is a mess. You're not the only sport. You're killing yourselves and doing it in a way that's very unhealthy, particularly those of you who have families. You need to look at that entire picture and be able to come back to your athletic director and say, this is what makes sense. I think you'll find out there's a lot of wasted energy right now in the way that we coach and teach, and the way we take care of our lives away from the sport. And there's a point of diminishing returns in every sport. There's a point where you just hit the wall. It's too much. And today, you know, the lifespan or the attention span of an 18-year-old is not very long. And so your ability to make sure that your workouts are focused but have sound kinesiology and science behind it, to me, is really critical. Nobody is really doing it. You have the benefit, I think track and field does as well, of some of the research that's been done with the USOC. Take advantage of it. But take me up on this. Because the reality is right now, if you can do it right at this level, at the international level, then we can cascade it down. Because we've got too many parents trying to take these kids to every swimming meet, and they're 8, 9, 10 years old. By the time they get to you in the college ranks, they are burned out. They got their scholarship, and they're happy. They're done. And that's a shame, because that's when they finally have reached mentally and physically the point where they are prepared to be champions. So that's my message to you tonight, is to really take that task on. If we stop at time demands, which is a bad term, to be honest with you, what you're trying to do is find the optimum cycle to be successful athletically and academically in college. If we stop here, we have not served the young people behind us. And I think you have the opportunity to be role models and leaders out there, and I would really challenge you to go after it. So in closing tonight, you do have to get to the bar because Dave's buying. And I really applaud you, because I know, having dealt with coaches now for 25 years, the stuff that happens in the pool is the easiest part of your job. It's those challenges, and they seem to be getting more intense each year. Being able to spend that time with a young boy or a young girl who's really confused, family life might be a mess, whole bunch of things going on in their life. You got to declutter it before they can really be successful, and by God, you do. So as we say in Boilermaker land, I'll close by saying, boiler up, hammer down, hail Purdue.